Hello and welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a timed mini section for the SAT math section, and I'm going to be simply going through my thought process, and it might help you when you're trying to solve your problems. So let's get into it. Our first problem is asking us to find an expression that's equivalent to the one above. And we have 4 squared, or 16, times 20k minus 7. So let's think about this. This is just 16, or 4 squared, times 20 times k. And let's look at our answer choices. We have that right here. All we're doing here is multiplying, so this is going to be our answer. Next one. Imani's grandmother's house is 5 miles west of her own house down Main Street. While at her grandmother's, she decides to ride her bike farther west down Main Street at 10 miles per hour, and which describes the distance from her house after t hours. So we're seeing that she already starts 5 miles away, and she goes at 10 miles per hour. So after like 1 hour, she's going to be 10 miles extra away. So let's look at our answer choices. We don't want to be subtracting at all. We only want to be adding. And here, this is saying that we're increasing by 5 miles per hour, but we're increasing by 10. So this is the correct answer. Next, which of the following is equal to the sum of a of x and b of x? Let's look at this over here. Let's try simplify a little. So we have negative 7x squared, and this is in 1 over 2. So let's make this negative 14 over 2x squared. And if we add that, we have 13 over 2x squared. And we can simply stop right there, because we can see here, this is the only option with 13 over 2, negative 13 over 2x squared as an answer. So let's move on. Considering the tables above, what is the value of f of 4 of 4? No, f of 4. So let's learn how to do this. So when we have f of x, that's simply saying a function. So when we put 4 as our x, we're putting 4 into the equation. So let's see what happens here. When we have 4 into the equation here, we get 0 as our f of x. So when 4 is our x, f of x is 0. So now this is saying what is f of 0 basically. So when we have x is 0, f of x is 2, and that is our answer. Next question. If negative 20 is less than 8x plus 10, which is less than negative 8, we need to find the range of values for 4x plus 5. So let's look over here. Can you see a similarity between 4x and 8x and then 5 and 10? Well, it's multiplied by 2. 4x times 2 is 8x and 5 times 2 is 10. So this is multiplied by a factor of 2. So then we just have to divide all of this by 2 to get this. So then if we divided this by 2, we get negative 10. And if we divide this by 2, we get negative 4. So that means that 4x plus 5 is greater than negative 10 but less than negative 4. So let's look over here. This is basically what I said. It's greater than negative 10 but less than negative 4. Let's continue. In one state, a minimum of 246,000 signatures are needed to get a voter initiative on a statewide ballot. And we can get 25 signatures per page. And it's estimated that 61,000-ish of the signatures they collect won't be valid. So if P represents the number of pages of signatures, let's see here. If P represents the number of pages of signatures which they should collect, which of the following inequalities best describes the situation? So let's quickly look here. We know that 61,000 is going to be subtracted since we cannot look at that. So these two are invalid. That means we're going to be looking at this over here. And it's saying a minimum of 246,000 signatures are needed. This is saying we need less than that, but this is where the minimum comes into play. So we're going to be using this as our answer, since this is saying that we need more than 246,000, which means we need a minimum of that many signatures. Next, which shows the graph of negative square root of negative x. So if we know the square root of negative x as a graph, we just have to flip it on both the x and y axis. So let's think about what the square root of x graph is. So this is actually what the square root of x graph is. We have the square root of 4 is 2, and then we're going to be going on further here. As you could see, there's probably a square root of 9 and 3. But that's not what we're looking at. The square root of the negative square root of negative x. That means we're flipping it over here and flipping it down here. And is there an answer choice like that? There is. It's right over here. Let's continue. In the figure at the left, point C is the center of the circle, so we have that here. And line segment C to D is perpendicular over here. And it bisects AB at point E. And it's known that AB and CD have a length of 10. And what we have to do is find the length of C to E. So let's think about this. AB and CD are both 10, but we know this is bisected. So this is 5 and this is 5. And we need to find the length of C to E. Well, what can we do here? Well, if I know that C to D is length of 10, and if we can connect a point over here, this is also the radius. So C to B is also going to be 10. So this is length 10, and we know that E to B is 5 because A to B is bisected, and A to B is 10. So we have 10 over here and 5 over here. Now if you remember your 30, 60, 90 triangles, if this is x, then this is 2x, and this is going to be x root 3. Well, can we see a pattern here? This is a right angle, this is 5, and this is 10. We're multiplying this by 2, multiplying EB by 2 to get CB. So that must mean that CE is going to be 5 times root 3, and that's an answer. So now we're on question 9 out of 10, we have to solve this. We're given that negative 89 is a double zero, so that represents this equation over here, basically. And we need to find which of the following can represent this. So let's look through our options. Could it be this? Well, there's a slight issue. Can you guys see that the graph goes up over here and down over here? That means that there's an imaginary root that we're not dealing with. And our equation is only this, so it can't be that. It's definitely not this, since this does not have a double root, and it's not this either. But if we look down here, we can see the double root here as it's bouncing off of negative 89, and it comes back up to 30. So this is our answer. And now we're on to the final question. 7m minus 8 times n minus 3 is equal to 6 minus 4 times n minus 2. And we need to find a value of b so that m and n have infinitely many solutions. Well, let's think about how can we get infinitely many solutions. Well, to get infinitely many solutions, both of these equations have to be equal. So if you have a pen or paper lying around, then you could use that. So let's try simplify this equation first. We have negative bm plus 2n is equal to 20 minus 6n. Let's subtract the 2n over here and we get negative bm is equal to 20 minus 8n. So let's write that down. Negative bm is equal to 20 minus 8n. And let's look at the equation on the top. Let's simplify that as well. We have 7m, and let's expand stuff as we write it, is equal to negative 20, we have 8n, so we're going to do 8 minus 8n plus 24, since the negatives make it a positive, and that's equal to 6 minus 4n plus 8. So now we have 7m minus 8n plus 24 is equal to 6 minus 4n plus 8. Well, we can simplify that further. Now we have 7m minus 8n is plus 24 is equal to negative 4n plus 14. Well, simplify that further. We can add the 8n over. So if we add 8n to both sides, we get 4n on the right side. So we have 7m is equal to, let's also subtract 24 from both sides. So now we're going to have 7m is equal to 4n, and we have 14 minus 24, which is negative 10. So now we have 7m is equal to 4n minus 10. So now we have two equations. We have negative bm is equal to 20 minus 8n, and 7m is equal to 4n minus 10. Remember on a previous problem we talked about factors? How one thing was a factor of 2 away, we just had to multiply it by 2? Well, we recognize that here. In one of our equations we have 20 minus 8n, and in the other one we have 4n minus 10. Well, if we flipped over the 4n minus 10 and made it 10 minus 4n, we have to do that by multiplying both sides by a negative. We now have negative 7m is equal to 10 minus 4n. Well, if we multiply both by 2, we get negative 14m is equal to 20 minus 8n. And would you look at that? Both equations are somewhat equal. Negative bm is equal to 20 minus 8n, and negative 14m is equal to 20 minus 8n. That means negative 14m is equal to negative bm, and that means our answer is 14. Let's submit this. Would you look at that? We got it all correct. Well, if you have any questions or need advice, please let me know in the comments below, and goodbye.